Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Chibike, and today I'll be teaching you how to create building plan using Autocad. And basically, before you create your building plan, you first thing you need to do is to create your building floor plan. And the first thing you need to do before you create your building floor plan is to create your unit. You have to also create layers for various elements to classify various objects in AutoCAD. Then you create your wall, your windows and doors, your block, your text, your hatches, and your dimension. Basically, in this video, I'll be teaching you how to do that. And before we get into the business of the day, I would love for you to like, share, and comment on my channel. And also, where you don't understand, you can ask questions in the comment section, and I'll be there to answer you. So let's get to the matter of the day. So the first thing we need to do before, as we want to create a building plan, is to create our unit. So to create unit, you just type UN. You see the unit will come up. Click on unit. Now you can select the type of unit you want to use. If it's architectural, I prefer decimal for myself. And the prescription you want, I want it to be at 0.000, and also the unit of scale inserted, I want it to be millimeter, and I click on OK. Now we've created our unit. The next thing we need to do is to create our layers for various objects. Why do we create layers? Layers is used to classify objects. Is used to separate various objects in AutoCAD. So we would create a layer for, so click on new, create layer for wall, sorry, click on enter, create a layer for window, I'll create a layer for wall, for doors, click on enter. We create layer for block, click on enter. We create layers for text, create layers for hatches, and we create layer for dimension, and finally I love creating layers for openings. Now we have to put a different colors for all this so as to classify or differentiate these various objects. So for block, I click on the white, I pick out red as my color. For dimension, I pick out yellow, click on OK. For door, I pick out green, click on OK. For hatches, I pick out this color, click on OK. For opening, pick out the darker kind of a gray color. For text, pick out this. For wall, I prefer using white. For windows, I would use this, click on OK. For hatches, I use this, click on OK, and I think we are good to go. And I'll cancel. So we have actually created the unit we wanted to use, and we've also created layers for various elements in Autocad. Now, since we'll be starting with wall, we click on the layer and we click on wall, and now we click on this line. So you see we can pick out our line. Once we click on this empty template, you can see we are drawing line, and this line is moving in all direction. And for building plan, most of the time our line moves in 90-degree, so I like putting my work in auto mode so as to help me get lines that move in 90 degrees. So you can see now I want this distance to be 10 meters. Click on 10, and I want this distance to be 8 meters. Click on 8. Now I want this line I'm drawing to be at the same length with this, so all I need to do is just to put my cursor here for some time, then I drag. You can see now I've gotten a line, then click there and then click on escape. Now we've gotten our external line, so I want to create the thickness of the block, which I am assuming that for this work I'm using a block thickness of 0.15, which is 150 millimeters. So now I click on offset distance. Offset distance is used, I'll show you what it's used for. So you just click on 0.15, since I'm assuming that my block work is 150 millimeter block. So I click on 0.15 and I click on enter. Offset 0.15, enter. Now you can see I'll be offsetting this inwardly, try to create our block. You can offset in different direction. This is the upward direction, this is the downward direction. So I'm offsetting this. Now after offsetting, I want to trim out so that my block will be uniform. So I click on trim and I right click so I can pick out this object. And I'm trimming just to get a uniform block. You can see now I have gotten my external wall. So the next thing I need to do is to create out various the windows, the kitchen and the toilet in our building. See, using the offset key, I'll be using offset quite a lot, so I'll be offsetting. I want to offset to 4. Click. Now I'll still offset to 0.1, cancel, setting to 0.15, click on enter. So I'll be offsetting to 4. I click on enter to get the thickness of the block work, 0.15. Click on enter. Now I would use the trim key, the trim tool, click on this to trim our lines. Trim tool is used to click on trim lines that intersect at various points. For some particular line that doesn't intersect, trim key will not be used. You use your delete key. So the next thing I need to do is to offset this line. I need an offset of 1 meter. Click on 1. Now I want to extend this line. I want to extend the line, so I click on the line, I come over here, I click and I drag. Click over here I want to offset again, offset to 0.15, and I click on enter, and I offset. Now you can offset. I want to offset this line to 2. So you can trim this. Left click, sorry, right click, and then you click the escape, and I can pick out this and delete. I can still offset this line 0.15, and I click on enter. I can still click on offset to get 2 point, escape, click on offset again to get 2.5, and I click on enter. I click on this line and I drag. I click on enter. I click on offset again. Offset to be giving me 0.15, and I click on enter, and I click on this line to offset, and that is it. Now I would use my trim key to ensure that the wall is uniform. I now right click, click this, click this, click on this, click on this, click on this, ensuring that I have a uniform wall. So I'm trying to ensure the block moves. You can see. So I would prefer this line. Click on escape. I'd love to extend this line to meet this point. Escape, delete, delete. I want to extend this line a bit, so I'll drag to this point. I click, also extend this line. I drag, place it there, click, and I drag to this point, click, and I click on escape. I pick a line, drag, sorry, click on line, click on this point, drag, click, escape. Using my trim tool, I right click, and I trim off this area, escape. I click on this line because I want to extend, and I click over here, and I drag, and I stop over here, and I using my trim tool, click on trim, right click, click over here, click on escape. Now I use the offset tool, put in 0.1. okay, just click on enter, and I click on escape. Now you can see that I have actually extended this line, so I need to use the trim tool to clean some areas I don't need, and I right click, and to make the wall uniform, make it flow, I have to take this off. Now we're getting to somewhere, so pick up the offset tool. I click on 1, I click on enter. I want to offset this line over here, and I click on escape. Using my trim tool, I click over here, and I right click this. You can notice this particular line cannot be trimmed, like I said, because it doesn't intersect. So what you need to do over here when you can trim a line that doesn't intersect, you press the escape button, then you highlight the line and you hit the delete on the keypad. Now for this particular line, I also want to offset it to 0.15. That would show that the thickness of my wall is 150 millimeter. Click on enter. I click on escape and then I can trim. I right click to trim. So you can see that we're almost done. So click on line or escape. Just click on this line to extend it, then I click over here, I drag, click on escape. Also I click on this line, I drag, click on escape. Now I can click on trim, right click, now we've gotten our walls and I want to create out for openings. These are lines that's okay. Let's go to the layers property first. Now for opening shows that there is a space that can be moved in, but it has an overlaying beam upward. So you can see for this opening, I click on line type and I click on load. I want my line type to be dotted and I click on OK and I click on this and I click on OK. So I can move. So now shows you that there is despite this area being open, there is a beam upward. So I click on line and I drag to this point, line, click on line, click on line, we can't see that dash line, so maybe I'll change that property. Upload, click on ISO dash and I click on OK. I click on this and I click on OK. So let's go back. Okay, you can see that we can now see what we've drawn. Now we can trim our line, right click, so we can draw our line over here. We use the trim, right click, offset, I'll click on enter. So this shows you upward we have a beam despite there being having an opening. This represents our dining, while this our kitchen, this is our toilet, and these are sitting room, our bedroom, and this is our sitting room. So over here we have a little space where one can sit. So we're done with creating our walls. Now for the windows, click on windows. Now I would love to use just one type of window for this building. So to create our windows, I click on line, I drag. I want my window to be 1, 0.2 meters, so I click on enter. The thickness of the window will have similar thickness with the wall, which is 0.15. On enter. Sorry, escape. So let me start all over. For the window, I click on line. I want the length of my window to be 1.2. I click on enter. Now I want the thickness of my window to be the same thickness as my wall, which is 0.15. And I click on enter. Thickness of my wall, I pick out this point, drag 0.15, enter. Now I want to get similar lines, so I click over here, click on escape. Now I want to offset, so the offset I want to use 0.03. click on enter, offset it inward. Now I'll copy, click on copy, I'll touch this and I'll click on I'll hit enter key, move over here and then move it across this line. When it shows you a triangle, it shows you at the center, at the midpoint. I click there and I click on escape and I trim. I right click so I can highlight the object. Now we've got to our window. Now for the door, I want the length of my door to be 1 meter and the thickness to be 0.05. Click escape. Now I will draw an arc. We're using two kind of door in this tutorial. I'll use the center, start and end arc. Now this I want to be my center, and this I want to be my mid, my start. This I want to be my end. Or I could delete and start this way, arc, center, start and end. So I click here, click over here, and I move to this point, click over here. Now we've got it for the window, the first door, and I want to create for the second door. So I want the distance of the door to be 2, so I'll use 1 over here. I click on enter and thickness to be 0.05. click on enter. And then I want to do the same thing for the arc, start, center, start and end. So I click over here, and I click on here. Then I want to create a mirror image using the mirror tool. I highlight the whole object and I click on enter. I go to this point and I drag straight upward. You can see I've created a mirror. Then erase source object, no. Now we've created windows and door, and I want to make these windows and door block. so that I would not have to pick. So when I want to move them, I move them as one. You can see if I pick out this, I'm only picking out one area, but when I make them block, I move them as a unit together, so they escape. So I'll go to create block. Now I'll pick out a point which is this, click on that, and then I'll select object, click, and I click on enter. This is door one, and I click on OK. You can see now, if I highlight it, I'm highlighting the whole door. So for the second door, I'll click on create. So this will be door 2, and I'll click on pick point. The point I pick, and I pick select object, or highlight the whole object, and I click on enter, and I'll click on OK. You can see we've turned the whole what we did to one unit that we can move. Now for this window, go to select, put the window. Since it's just one window we have, I'll click on pick point, pick, and then select object, and I click on enter, and I click on OK. Now since we know that our door, we have to kind of do, I want to use this particular door as our entrance door. So what I'll do is to use the line to, or I extend this to this point. Now I'll use the offset key, offset to 2, and I click on enter, and I click on this line to this. Now I'll use the trim key, the trim tool, and I right click, click on this. Now I just highlight this and I delete. Now we can copy this, copy, specify base point, and I click no, escape. So we can click on copy, select object, we click on this, and we hit the enter, and we specify base point to be this. Now I'll take it off the auto mode so I can move it how I want, and I'll place it over here. I hit the escape. You can see we've placed our door. Also, in similar vein, I'd love our kitchen to have doors at this point and at this point. So I can create my line, use my line, move over here and close up this distance, sorry, I'll go over to wall, click on line, click over here to this point. Since the door that will be inward will be a door of 1 meter, I can use the offset key, click on 1, and I hit enter, and I click on this object to offset it over here, and I use the trim tool, and I right click and I drag across. Now also for this point too, I use the line, so hit the auto, then use the trim, right click, click drag. Now offset to 1, and then we click on enter, click over here, drag. Now using the trim tool, right click, click, drag. Similarly, we use the line tool, hit over here, hit there, and we click on escape. And now we use the trim tool, click on trim. No, sorry. We click on offset, and we want it to be 1, and we click on enter. We offset this distance over here, and we use the trim tool, click on it, and we right click, click, drag. And finally, for this area of the door, click on line, drag, escape, click on escape. We pick out the trim tool, right click, click, drag. Now we use the offset tool, that 1 already, so we just click on enter, we move over here, and we click. Now using the trim tool, right click, click, drag, enter. Now we're done with that. Now we need to create mirror image of this. Enter, click at this point, drag upward. No. Also we need to create mirror image of this, so we select the object, click on enter, click over here and drag. I will click no. Why I'm doing this is so that I can select the window based on any orientation I want. Also we can copy this and click on escape, and then we can rotate it, click on enter, now we've rotated the window, the door, the way we want. So if I want to use this door, I click on copy, and I select my base point, and I remove this auto mode. I can move it how I like. That is for my door, and I can click on escape. So the next door we need will be this, so I can click on it and click on copy, click on this as my base point, drag over here, drag over here. You can see we've started inserting our doors. Now for this door we need this, copy, now we've created doors. Now for our windows, I click on this and I click on copy, and I move this way, click on escape, and I click on this. I want to rotate, so I want to make it, keep it in auto mode, keep it in auto mode and rotate, pick out this point so I get a straight window, and I click on escape. Now I'll be cutting out areas for the windows. So for the dining, what I do, since I want to get a straight line, and this line I want to get the center of this particular area from here to here, and this line is actually a linear line, so I will just create out a line, draw out my own line. I would click on line, draw out my lines, click on escape, and then I'll trim. I'll right click, 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 click. Now click on line again. This is my midpoint. Once I see this triangle, I just drag, click on escape. Since I know my window is 1.2, so, and I want the window to be at the center here, so I would use the offset of 0.6, 0.6, and I click on enter. I mark over here, move this way, click again, move this way, and now I click on escape. I can now delete this, delete. Now I can delete this. I click on delete on the keypad. Now using the trim key, I right click and click over here, drag, click, 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 left click, and still left click. So for this, you can see this particular line, we can get the center. There's no need to go the way we did over here. So since I am touching this, it shows that this line starts from this end to this end. So all I need to do is to click on line and pick out the center. This can be the center, so we still need to do that. Just pick out from this point to this point, escape using the trim key, right click, then you left click on this, you left click on this. Now still click on line, try to move it across this line. You're going to get to the center. This is the midpoint. You click, drag upward, click on escape. Now you are going to have to use the offset key. It's already on 0.6, so you just click on enter, click over here, move over here. Now you click on escape, you click on this so you can highlight it and delete, click on this so you can highlight it using the keypad delete button, click. Now using the trim, click on trim, you right click and then left click and drag, click this, click this, click on this, and click on this. We're creating openings. I need to create an opening over here, so I'll create a line, drag, hit over here using my trim key, my trim tool. I right click, click on it and this. Now I pick out this line, I click on the line tool again and I move across to get to the midpoint. I drag, I hit the escape button. Now what I need to do is to use the offset, and it's already on 0.6, so I just click on enter, move, move, escape. I have to highlight this, delete, delete. Then using the trim tool, right click, click over here, drag, click, 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 you left click at this point. Now we've created a window for this. I think we did not create a window for the toilet. I'll go, but we'll do that later. So we need to create a window for this area, so I just pick out line, drag from this, click over here, and then I'll click the escape button. Now I click on line again, move across, Okay, now we need to trim first. Now we right click and we left click and we left click, we left click, left click, picking on line 2. We drag, click on escape. Using the offset key, we click on enter. Now we click on escape, we just highlight this and we hit the delete on our keypad. We hit the delete on our keypad, and now we use the trim key. We right click and left click, drag, click, click, click on this and click on this. Now to put these windows over here, this will be easier since this line is like, we got a line like this, so there's no need of going through that step. All we need to do is to pick out our line, click on it, that's the center. We drag, hit the escape key, click on offset, and we click on, since our offset distance is already set at 0.6, there's no need to change that. So click here, drag to the right, and we click over here and drag to the left. Now we click the escape key, we highlight this line and hit the delete key on our keypad, and now we use the trim key and we use select objects, and we actually just right click, click at this point, drag, click. Now we left click and we left click over here. We need to trim this area. Now for this particular area, we also need to pick out our lines and then move across. When you get the triangle, it shows you that's the midpoint. You drag, click on escape, you use the offset, click on enter, move, and then you move over to this way. Now we still highlight this and we hit the delete key. Now we use trim, select object, we touch our trim, we right click and then click there, drag over, and then you can also click on this, click on this. So we'll come back for the toilet. So now for the windows, I'll be clicking on copy, select object, click on enter, or take it off the auto mode so I can move in any direction I want. You can see now you can specify the point you want to move it with. I click on this point, take it off the auto mode, I place it on this point, and see the shape of our building is coming to life. Then you click on this point and you click on this point and we hit the escape button. Now we have to create a window for our toilet which will be smaller than this windows. So we go to window again, and the length of our window should be, let's say 0.6 meters. We say 600 millimeter. So we can click on, hit the auto mode to get a straight line. So 0.6, click on enter. The thickness should be also the same thickness of the block 0.15, click on enter. So we just snap this point, so when we click there we have similar distance, and then we click on escape. Now we have set to 0.03, click on enter, move, we click on copy, we select the object and we click on enter. We specify the base point by clicking over there and move across the line. Now when it shows you a triangle, it shows you that's the midpoint. We click over there and we hit the escape, and then we can actually trim. We right click and let's click on this object and let's click on this. Now we've gotten that. Now we pick out our line and we go over here to wall. So we come over here, it shows you where the center. So we drag, we hit the escape button, we offset this distance to 0.3. Now we move it to the right and we move it, click on it, move it to the left. Now we hit the escape button, click on this, and then we hit the delete on the keyboard. Now using the trim tool, click on trim, we right click and we left click on this, let's click on this, click over here, drag, you can see. Now before we do move this, we have to actually create a new block for it. So we pick a point, so I basically just pick this point, and then we select the object by highlighting the object, click on it, and then we hit enter, and then this will be our window 2, and we click on OK. Another beauty of creating block is that if you click on insert, you see the block that has been created that you can use for this particular program. Even if we delete everything over here, we can still come over here and click on insert, pick out our block that has been created for us and use. So we can highlight this and click on copy, specify base point, and I click on this point and I take it, remove the auto mode, I can move it in any direction I want, and I place it over here and I hit the escape. You can see from this video that we've created our walls, we've created our windows and doors. In the next video, I'll be teaching you how to create your hatches, text and dimension, and then I'll also teach you how to get your elevation plan. Thank you for staying with me, and expect the next video soon. And do not forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you and God bless you.